It all began as a joke, just a simple dare among friends who had too much time on their hands during summer vacation. The old camp had been abandoned for decades, its cabins falling apart, the woods swallowing what was left of it. They said that years ago, a counselor disappeared there during a stormy night, and the game we were about to play had been the reason. We called it the old camp game, though none of us really understood where it came from. The rules were simple at least. That's what we thought. You had to gather in the mess hall at midnight, light only one candle in the center of the room, and call out the name of the missing counselor 3 times. After that, you weren't supposed to leave until the candle went out on its own. If you blew it out or left early, the counselor would follow you home. We laughed when we heard it, brushed it off as just another silly campfire story. But deep down, each of us was nervous. There's something about abandoned places that makes your chest heavy, like the air itself doesn't want you there. When midnight came, we snuck inside the mess hall. The wood creaked beneath our feet, dust hanging in the air. We set the candle down on a long, rotting table. As the flame flickered, shadows stretched unnaturally long across the walls, twisting like they were alive. One of my friends, trying to act brave, called the counselor's name 3 times. The sound echoed, bouncing back from corners that felt farther away than the room really was. At first, nothing happened. We laughed again, almost disappointed, and for a moment I thought it would just end there. But then the candle flickered violently, like someone had exhaled directly into the flame, though none of us had moved. The door behind us groaned. We all froze. I don't know when the laughter stopped, but silence filled the hall. The shadows no longer looked like ours. They bent wrong, stretching upward to the ceiling, their heads tilting, watching. My heart hammered in my chest, and one of my friends whispered that we should leave, but none of us dared blow out the candle. That's when we heard the sound of footsteps pacing just outside the hall, slow and deliberate, circling the building. The footsteps stopped, and then something scratched along the wooden wall. It wasn't an animal. It was too controlled, too steady. Minutes dragged into hours, or at least it felt like that. The candle still burned, though the flame had shrunk to a trembling ember. Just as we thought it was about to go out, the door creaked open by itself. Cold air rushed in, and I swear I saw a figure standing just beyond the threshold, half hidden in the dark. It was tall, hunched, its head bent at an impossible angle. My friend screamed and bolted. The moment he crossed the doorway, the candle extinguished. Everything went black. The last thing I remember from that night was the sound of someone whispering my name directly in my ear, even though no one was standing close to me. When I woke up, it was morning. We were lying in the grass outside, far from the mess hall. My friend who ran first, he never came back. His parents still search for him, though everyone else says he just vanished into the woods. The rest of us don't talk about it anymore. We don't go near that camp. But sometimes, late at night, I hear those same footsteps outside my house, circling, waiting, and I know, deep down, that we never should have played the old camp game again. The days after we played the game felt wrong in ways I can't fully explain. At first it was little things, doors in our houses left open when we swore we closed them. The sensation of being watched from corners of empty rooms, that heavy silence just before you fall asleep, except it didn't go away. Then came the dreams. Each of us described the same one, standing in the mess hall again, the candle burning low, the counselor's shadow looming larger and closer each time. In the dream, none of us could move. We could only wait until the flames sputtered out and everything was swallowed in darkness. One of my friends, Evan, started having nosebleeds at school in the middle of lunch, while driving his nose would just start pouring blood. He said every time it happened, he heard someone whisper his name faintly, like it was being spoken just over his shoulder. He tried ignoring it, but then his dog wouldn't go near him. The animal growled and barked whenever he entered the room. Hackles raised as though it could see something attached to him that the rest of us couldn't see. Then there was Leah. She stopped coming to school altogether. When we finally went to her house to check, her mother told us she hadn't slept in days. She sat at her window every night, claiming she could see someone standing under the streetlight across the road, always in the same position still, hunched, head bent sideways, never moving until dawn. Her mother said she was just having a breakdown, but when I looked at Leah's face through her half-open bedroom door, I knew she wasn't just tired. She looked hollow, her eyes wide and bloodshot, whispering over and over, "Don't let the candle go out. Don't let it go out." It was worse for me. A week after the game, I started hearing the footsteps again outside my own house, circling, dragging against the siding. One night, I pressed my ear against the door, heart pounding, and I swear I heard breathings, low, ragged, heavy just inches from the other side. My parents thought it was an animal, but no animal knocks softly against the wood in a rhythm, like it's trying to be let in. We tried talking about it as a group, meeting in public places, but it always ended the same. One of us would get quiet, distracted, like we could feel someone watching, even in broad daylight. And then, one by one, we stopped showing up. The last time I saw Evan, he was staring into the distance with blood dripping down his chin, whispering, "He's almost here." A few days later, he was gone, his room empty, no note, no trace, as if he had just been erased from his home. Leah was next. Her window blinds were found, ripped from the wall, her bed empty, the glass cracked from the inside. Her mother swore she heard her scream in the middle of the night, but when she ran upstairs, all that remained was the open window and cold air pouring in. No footprints, no sign of struggle, and that left me alone, terrified. The footsteps never stopped. Every night, the same pacing, the same dragging sound, closer each time. Sometimes I catch the smell of damp earth, like the woods inside my own room. Last night, I woke to the sound of whispering right at my bedside. I turned on the lamp, and for the briefest moment, I saw it the counselor, pale, twisted, his head bent in that unnatural angle, his mouth stretched into something that wasn't a smile, but felt worse than a scream. I don't know how long I can last. The candle is gone. The mess hall is gone. My friends are gone. But the game never ended. It followed us home. And now it's my turn to disappear. The nights grew longer after that. Or maybe it just felt that way. Sleep was no longer safe. I tried staying awake with the TV blaring, music in my ears, anything to drown out the silence. But every night, no matter how loud the sound around me was, I could hear it underneath the slow creak of floorboards, as though someone was walking through my house. At first, I thought it was my imagination. Then I saw the impressions. Footprints, faint but unmistakable, in the dust on my wooden floors. They were wet, as if someone had tracked them in from the swampy earth outside. I wiped them away, but the next night they were back, more of them, closer to my bed. I started leaving the lights on, every single one. But light doesn't protect you, not from this. Because sometimes, when I stared too long into a lit corner of the room, I would see something darker than shadow. Darker than the absence of light, like a figure bent unnaturally, frozen in place, waiting. The moment I blinked, it was gone, but the air stayed heavy, like it hadn't really left. One night, I woke up gasping, convinced someone was pressing down on my chest. The room was ice cold, though the heater had been on. My breath came out in clouds, and that's when I saw it again, him, the counselor. Not in a dream this time, but standing in the corner, tall and impossibly thin, his head tilted so far sideways that I heard his neck crack. His face was obscured, just a blur of pale skin and hollow eyes that didn't blink. He didn't move, he just stood there, watching me. I couldn't scream, I couldn't move. I shut my eyes, praying I was imagining it. When I opened them again, the corner was empty, but the room smelled like damp wood and rotting leaves. I wanted to believe it was all hallucinations, lack of sleep, maybe guilt. But then my phone started ringing. Calls at exactly 3:17 every night. No number, just unknown. The first time I picked up, and all I heard was breathing. Not human breathing, this was ragged, uneven, like someone drowning but still trying to whisper. Then, faintly, the sound of a candle flame sputtering. After that, I stopped answering, but the calls kept coming, always at the same time, always 3:17. My friends were gone. My family couldn't help me. I stopped trying to explain it because the more I spoke about it, the stronger it felt, like speaking his name gave him more power. I remembered the rule we broke, never leave before the candle burns out. But we all did. And now the game was following its own rules, one by one, until none of us remained. I thought about going back to the camp, to the mess hall, to try finishing what we started. Maybe if I sat in that collapsing room with a candle again, maybe if I stayed until the flame burned itself out, I could end it. But I was too afraid of what would happen when the last flicker of light disappeared. Because what if the end of the game wasn't freedom, but letting him in completely? Now, every night, I hear him closer. The dragging footsteps up the stairs, the creak outside my bedroom door. Sometimes the knob rattles, just slightly, like he's testing it, waiting for me to open it. Last night, I swear I saw fingers, long, pale, impossibly thin, sliding through the gap under the door, scratching at the wood. I don't know how much longer I have. My reflection looks less like me every day, as if something else is staring back when I look in the mirror. My voice doesn't sound the same when I speak, and when I dream of the candle burning lower and lower, almost out, almost gone. The old camp game never ends. Once you play, you don't walk away. It follows you. It takes pieces of you until there's nothing left to take. And when that final flame dies, when the last light fades, he'll finally step fully through. And I'll be gone, just another name whispered by kids daring each other at the ruins of the old camp. And maybe someday you'll be the ones to play. The strange thing is, the world outside kept going on like normal. People went to work, kids played in the park, families laughed at dinner tables. But for me, everything felt distorted, like I was living one step out of sync with reality. Sometimes voices around me would sound muffled, delayed, like I was hearing them through water. And sometimes, when I looked too long at strangers passing by, I swore their faces flickered just for a second, showing hollow black sockets where their eyes should have been. I started wondering if maybe the game didn't just bring him back. It started unraveling the world around me. The house itself became dangerous. I'd hear knocks inside the walls, scratching in the vents, whispers in the pipes. The longer I stayed, the more it felt like the walls were closing in, alive, watching. One night, I woke up to see writing scrawled across my ceiling in soot words backwards, but when I held up a mirror, they read, "The candle is still burning," but I hadn't lit a candle. The next night, I found one, sitting on my desk, old wax dripping down its sides, half melted just like the one we used in the mess hall. It was already lit. I swear to you, I never touched it. Yet there it was, flame flickering, casting long shadows that twisted across my room. The shadows didn't match my furniture. They moved differently, bending, stretching, reaching. I tried to blow the candle out. I blew until my lungs hurt, but the flame didn't go out. It only grew taller, brighter, until the entire room seemed drenched in that sickly orange glow. And in that light, I saw him sitting in the corner of my room, knees bent at sharp angles, head cocked sideways, smiling wider than a human mouth should. After that, I stopped sleeping altogether. Days blurred together, and I felt myself unraveling, like my sanity was slipping thread by thread. Sometimes, in the middle of the day, I'd look down and see wet mud on my shoes, mud that smelled like the campgrounds. Sometimes, in mirrors, I'd catch glimpses of the mess hall behind me, the broken wood, the mold-stained walls, the candle burning endlessly. The game wasn't bound to that place anymore. It was inside me, inside my home. I thought about burning the candle, destroying it, but something told me that would be worse. Because what if that flame wasn't keeping him out? What if it was the only thing holding him back? Every night since, I've heard it. The countdown, 3 knocks on my wall, then silence, then 3 more, closer, louder, and then the whisper, right at my ear. Your turn. I don't think the game ever ends with the last player. It keeps moving, searching for someone new. Maybe it'll find another group of kids, daring each other at the ruins. Maybe it'll reach through the story I'm telling now, crawling into the ears of anyone listening too closely, anyone imagining the candle burning in the dark. Because once you picture it, once you see it in your mind, the game has already started for you, and the candle, it's already burning.